The world of Earth was a dying ember, a gray and suffocating tomb of concrete, spent resources, and shattered dreams. But light years away, through the vast, cold silence of space, lay a moon called Pandora. To the corporations of Earth, it was nothing more than a treasure chest of minerals, a cold calculation of profit and loss. To the soldiers, it was a hellhole filled with monsters that breathed poison and lived to kill. But to a paralyzed former Marine named Jake Sully, it was the only place left in the universe where he could truly find a reason to live. Jake's journey began not with a heroic leap, but with a scientific miracle. He was sent to inhabit an avatar, a towering, blue-skinned body grown from a delicate mix of human DNA and the genetic code of the indigenous Na'vi. When he first opened his eyes in that 3-meter-tall frame, the transformation was electric. He didn't just walk, he ran. He burst out of the lab, digging his 4-toed feet into the alien soil and feeling the wind against his skin for the first time in years. The heavy, clanking chains of his broken human body were gone, replaced by the grace of a predator. He was a dreamwalker, a ghost operating a living, breathing shell, sent to bridge the gap between two civilizations that didn't understand each other. But Pandora was not a place to be wandered lightly. During an expedition into the deep, bioluminescent jungles, Jake was separated from his team by the charge of a massive titanother. As the sun dipped below the horizon, the forest transformed. What was a green cathedral by day became a neon wonderland by night, pulsating with the glow of ancient plants and the predatory shadows of the wild. It was here, in the heart of the terrifying dark, that he met Neytiri, a princess of the Omaticaya clan. She was a warrior of the people, and at first, she saw in Jake only a sky person, with the clumsy heart of a confused child. She meant to kill him, but a sign from Awa, the glowing seeds of the sacred tree, rested upon him like tiny, pulsing stars. Neytiri became his reluctant teacher, and the jungle became his grueling classroom. Under her fierce guidance, Jake learned that the Na'vi did not just live on the land, they were a biological extension of it. Through a neural bond they called Selu, they could connect their nervous systems to the creatures and the trees around them. He learned that every breath was a borrowed gift from Awa, the Great Mother, and that the world was a delicate web of energy that flowed through everything. He learned to move in silence, to hunt with respect, and to see the forest not as a collection of trees, but as a living network. He climbed the Hallelujah Mountains, massive islands of rock that floated in the sky like ships of stone, and tamed an Ikran, a mountain banshee, proving his worth as a true hunter of the clan. But while Jake was finding his soul in the blue skin of the Na'vi, his own kind was preparing for a massacre. The humans, led by the iron-fisted Colonel Korich and the corporate greed of the RDA, wanted the unobtainium buried directly beneath the Na'vi's ancestral home tree. Jake was caught in a lethal trap, a spy who had fallen in love with his target, a soldier who had found his home among the enemy. He tried to warn the people, but he was too late. He was a man torn between two worlds, and both were about to bleed. The tragedy struck with the terrifying force of fire and steel. The humans unleashed their gunships, turning the night sky orange with the heat of missiles. They targeted the ancient home tree, a natural skyscraper of wood and memories that had stood for thousands of years. As the massive tree groaned and collapsed in a suffocating cloud of ash and fire, the soul of the Omaticaya was crushed. Jake watched in horror as the people who had welcomed him as a brother were scattered like leaves in a firestorm. He was cast out, rejected as a traitor by his own race and branded a liar by the Na'vi. He sat in his human body, in a cold metal shack, watching the world he loved turn to embers. To win back the trust of the people and save the moon from total destruction, Jake Sully had to do the impossible. He sought out the Taurak, the last shadow, a terrifying, crimson-winged king of the sky that only 5 Na'vi in all of history had ever dared to ride. In a move of sheer desperation and bravery, he dove from the heavens and bonded with the great beast. When he descended from the clouds on the back of the legendary predator, the Na'vi fell silent. He was no longer a dreamwalker. He was Taurak Makto, the myth come to life, the leader who would unite the tribes. He flew to the 4 corners of Pandora, calling upon the horse clans of the plains and the Ikran people of the Eastern Sea. He told them that the Sky people had sent a message that they could take whatever they wanted, but the Na'vi would send a message of their own: this is our land. The final battle was a symphony of chaos and courage. Stone-tipped arrows flew against high-tech missiles. Leather-winged beasts clashed with armored gunships in the floating mountains. It was a fight for the very breath of the planet. Just as the Na'vi were about to be overwhelmed by the superior machinery of the humans, the planet itself responded. Awa had heard Jake's prayer. The entire ecosystem, the massive hammerhead titans and the fierce viper wolves, charged from the tree line in a thundering wave. Nature itself rose up to cast the invaders out. The war ended not with a high-tech bomb, but in the mud and the blood, as Jake and Neytiri faced the Colonel in a final struggle for survival. In the aftermath, the humans were sent back to their cold, dying Earth, leaving only a few behind. But the real story concluded not in war, but in silence, under the glowing boughs of the Tree of Souls. Jake lay in his metal link shack, his human body gasping for its last breaths. Neytiri found him there, holding his small, pale human frame and looking into his eyes for the first time. She didn't see a monster or an alien, she saw the man she loved. She whispered the words that define the entire saga: I see you. Through a sacred ritual, Jake Sully left his human form behind forever. He closed his human eyes for the last time and opened his golden Na'vi eyes to a new life. He was finally home. He was finally one of the people. He was finally alive.